Yep, that's it. To the phones we go. Let's get our leadoff batter in here. That is Charles, who is in Spartanburg. Charles, you are in charge.
Hey, thank you. I don't know if you heard, but there's a lot of controversy going on with the South Carolina GOP lately.
I have heard.
I'm reading a story on the GreenvillePost.com.
Mm-hmm.
The SC GOP refuses to give Samuel Harms, the challenger, the delegate list, so he can have a fair way to run for chairman.
That's right. Yeah, he's
Chad Connelly.
Yeah, that's right. If you're not Sam Harms, the name that may be familiar to, he's a former chairman of the Greenville County GOP, is running for chairman of the state GOP, and some roadblocks apparently are being put up in his path. And
I got one more bit of news on SCHotline.us.
Mm-hmm.
You probably know that the South Carolina GOP headquarters has a mortgage on it that Chad Connelly put on it.
No, I was not aware of that.
Yes, if you go to SCHotline.us, they actually have the mortgage paperwork where Chad Connelly signed as chairman of SC GOP, but he also signed it for the Republican Trust Building Corporation that owns the building. So, and they did it for $340,000.
I wonder what the purpose of getting that infusion of $340K was for.
The Republican Party is in huge debt because of the lawsuits from when Chad Connelly screwed up and kicked people off the ballot and stuff like that for the primaries.
During the primaries last year. Yeah.
Right. But I just thought your listeners would like to know that. You could read it on SCHotline.us. And the other story is on thegreenvillenews.com.
Gotcha. I appreciate the information, Charles. We like to keep up with the inner workings.
Yes.
Let's head to Tigerville and bring in Javen here on the Bobby Mack Show. Hi, Javen. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm on the very outskirts of Tigerville on Woodruff Road.
That's a long stretch, yeah. Tigerville's growing by leaps and bounds, isn't it?
Tigerville on location in Greenville. I wanted to follow up the caller, I think it's 2 callers ago or whatever, that's talking about Chad Connelly and the whole mess with the SCGOP.
Yeah, and Sam Harms running against him for the chairmanship.
Anyway, if you look on that website, you can there's a link to the actual document that has Chad's signature on there twice, and he was correct. He signed it under both entities, the SCGOP, and I think it's like the RBTC or something, whatever the corporation is that actually owns the state property, which was mortgaged for $339,000
right.
To pay for debt. However, if you look at the document, it was signed on September the 24th. State party rules require that in order to go into any indebtedness, either the state convention or the state executive committee have to give approval. The chairman can't do it on their own accord.
Right.
However, the executive committee meeting was not held until January, so he signed it a good over 2 months before the meeting was even held. And on those meetings, the minutes of those meetings do not record anything being mentioned about a mortgage, anything being put up as collateral. Colonel Bill Connor, who ran for lieutenant governor last time around.
Yes, I know Bill very well. Yeah.
He's on the executive committee. He's a non-voting member. He was there at that meeting. He and 3 others vouched that was never discussed because he's sitting there wondering how in the world Chad kept saying line of credit. Well, he kept wondering how do you get over $339,000 credit on a line of credit. Who's securing this? What's securing it?
And apparently the building is, right?
Yes, and it had already been signed, but that was never mentioned to the executive committee. So there's at least 3 people there that will vouch for it. So it's at least it was a major violation of party rules. He signed. I don't know if he has the authority to sign, on behalf of 2 entities. And he shouldn't have done it without the approval of the executive committee, and it was obviously done without the approval because it was done 2 months done in September.
Yeah, this is all very interesting. Dan Herron, who is one of our account executives here at Intercom, is also an executive committeeman, so I'll have to check with him and see what he knows about it, too.
I believe, the story I've heard, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Dan Herron is the one that actually called that meeting because he was really concerned about it and saying, hey, you need to get the approval of the executive committee. So they kind of went back and tried to do it in the backdoor way to say, well, we've got approval, but the approval was done 2 months after the papers had been signed.
Yeah, as the attorneys would say, ex post facto.
Right.
That is after the fact.
Right, and there's another thing, I don't know if you've been aware of this, but that Chad's been doing since our county convention the other week. He's been going around the state. You can look up on YouTube. He sent out a text messages, and he's been going around the state. He's been caught on video doing it. He's accusing Harry Kibler of standing up at the Greenville County Convention and saying the overseas military don't have the right to vote in primaries. He did not say that. If you hear the context of what he said, he did not say that. And then in some of the quotes from Chad, he's actually saying that we did, as we as being the members of the Greenville County Republican Party.
Right.
So he's really telling a big mistruth there, and really, in my opinion, slandering Harry Kibler.
Is it fair to say, do you think, Javen, that because the upstate of South Carolina is one of the, and certainly the GOP here is one of the reddest versions, by red I mean most conservative anywhere in the GOP, that we are sort of outliers to the rest of the state party in some respect?
Yeah,
we're heretics, as it were.
We are, yeah. And I got a big lecture about how we're in our little group. I don't know how we're little because our executive committee is bigger than most counties have at their whole convention.
Yeah.
But they were talking about our little group of like-minded people, and they were saying that because we usually vote things unanimously, like for Obamacare nullification and that kind of thing.
Right.
That somehow showed that we're all, that we're all followers and didn't have minds of our own.
Well, I mean, you can go back to the when Sam Harms was head of the county GOP here in Greenville, the censuring of Senator Graham, which many in the party, I'm sure in other parts of the state, cringed at. But hey, tough.
Sam Harms had the guts to fight for that when other county chairs didn't.
Exactly. Yeah, and that was all over the amnesty business last time around. That's how far back that stuff goes. I appreciate the information, Javen. That's a fascinating update. It'll be interesting to see how this thing plays out.